It's like this podcast is going out to 10, 15 people. But I feel like I'm speaking to the world right now.
Cameras. That's what I need to realize. There's no cameras.
There's no cameras around here.
There's no cameras. Hi, my name is Artem. Welcome to the first ever episode of Let's Try. I created this podcast in order to facilitate good conversations with many different people. I believe every person has their unique perspective and stories, which by documenting in the form of a podcast, I hope will benefit me as your host and you as all listeners, with the ultimate goal of bringing us all together in unity. God, I butchered that one. My first guest is going to be awesome Russell Danilchuk.
The man,
welcome.
the myth, the legend.
Welcome on.
Exactly. By request, I'm sitting here today.
Lots of people requested to be first, and you're the very first.
I was just the lucky one.
For real, man.
Yeah, so
well,
thank you for having me.
You're welcome, for sure. We're not going to waste any time. Short podcast. Try to make it brief so I don't bore you guys to death. The theme of today's podcast is pretty much going to be a recap, which is kind of maybe a little bit weird since it's the first podcast episode, but it's also a recap at the same time. Yeah. I'm trying to be quirky here. World War III.
The big conspiracy theory that started us off, I guess, in
January. Early January. I think
I remember waking up like January 1st and seeing this like on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird because we were at a New Year's party, right?
Yeah.
And like when we stayed there pretty late, and then like nobody was hearing anything about no World War III, and then just all of a sudden everybody's like, what was it even? Like, I don't even remember what it was about. Like
something about Iran and
Iran?
Bombing Iran
or something like that.
Trump was doing some crap.
But that was
so,
like
yeah.
that was the way to start the year, I guess.
For real. And actually I think I even remember being a little bit worried about it. Like
really?
I was like, oh well, like are we actually gonna go bomb them or not? Like I kind of felt like it might have been actually like could have been a little bit serious.
I mean, for me, okay, so I was 17 January 1st. So I was like, ain't no way I'm fighting in this war, so I'm chilling.
I'm good.
But I remember actually like what was it? I was like looking at stuff, and it was like if like a nuke was like sent to the US, like target spots where it would hit. And apparently Georgia was pretty much like in the clear for the most part because they would send it from the West Coast, I think, or nukes or something, maybe not. Maybe it was like, I don't even remember. But basically, that's the one thing I remember. I was like, dude, this is like 2021 really starting off with the end of the world. Like
2021 is next year, bro.
I mean 2020, yeah, we're starting off with end of the world.
Even though this was kind of like pretty crazy for the first couple of days of January, I think this has probably turned out to be the most insignificant part of 2020, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. A world war is the most insignificant portion of this year.
And for me, it was so interesting to see like meme culture and like reflects all of this, and just like looking back at that, like the memes that we saw, that was basically the biggest part of what that event turned out to be. Just it was just for the memes.
We clowned on an actual serious topic.
Exactly.
And try to make it funny. And at the same time, I think around that time, maybe a month later or two, the Australian fires happened.
Right.
Which is pretty crazy. I read some facts before I got here. It said that 43 million acres was burnt.
Like,
in the time
can't even
span.
Think of how thinking of how much land
to put that in a little
like,
bit of a scale.
Conceptualizing that.
To date, I think California is about 4 million acres.
And that was 43?
That was 43. So we're talking about 10 times as much.
That's insane.
Of stuff burning, which also included a lot of, wildlife as we know it and whatnot. Right. I don't remember what the exact cause was. Was it people or whatever the deal was?
The thing I'm learning about is like, I know a lot of times Australia has like wildfires. Like they have dry seasons, bushfires and stuff like that. So like, what set this one apart really? And also, I think that's a theme throughout all of 2020 was really that I think a lot of events got a lot more like, not hyped up, but like, I think we're
just more crazy in general.
Yeah, like the media, the way like the media portrays everything just seems so much more crazy. And for me, like what I'm thinking is like, or what I was wondering is like, is it actually the case that it's like so serious, or is it like comparable to like the other years? And from like what I've been hearing or what I was reading, like 43 million acres, that was like probably, I think that's the biggest to date like wildfires that we've ever had seen, which is insane.
Which is pretty crazy. Yeah, it is. But and it's kind of sad. Not to get into any kind of politics early on, but like it has a lot to do with probably some kind of climate change.
Yeah,
or just maybe it could be pure people's stupidity.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know we're gonna talk about, the California fires. Like, what was it? The baby shower that started one.
A lot of those little things.
Imagine that, like, you knowing that you just like burned down half of California.
And so many people's like things are like
right.
burned.
You're evacuating and stuff like that. Like, we have family that's like, they don't even live in California. They live in Oregon. And, like, I know Oregon also had, like, fires and stuff going on there. But, like, I remember them saying, like, they literally wouldn't go outside because it's, like, the air just felt, like, dense, like, thick. Like, it was hard to breathe from all the smoke and stuff, which is, like, I mean, I've never experienced something like that. So it's, like, interesting to, like, think about it because, like, I've never been through that experience. So me trying to, like, conceptualize, like, what that would be like is, like,
I see some pretty crazy videos, like your whole orange skies and
like all those pictures that they were taking. That honestly, like seeing all that stuff is like,
it's kind of a little bit
it's hard to believe.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe that it's actually going on and it's actually something that's happening.
Somebody's getting affected by it, right?
Exactly.
Not to be, well.
We're hitting on a lot of low points, I guess.
Yeah.
we're not really going through the highs of 2020.
Pessimistic out here, but 2020 wasn't like the best year for, I guess, world news or whatever. We had a couple celebrity deaths. One
Bryant.
Which included Kobe Bryant.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that touched the most amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're discussing the biggest points of 2020, that'll be the biggest one in terms of celebrity deaths.
The first thing I think about, like, that whole death was, like, where were you in the moment? Like, when that happened? Like, when you figured out the news? Like, where were you?
I think it was a Sunday, right?
Yeah, it was a Sunday.
Church or something?
I remember, for me, we walked into Mark's house. And we were all just chilling, and then I think Philip just, like, runs downstairs, he's just screaming, like, oh, bro, Kobe died. And I was like, oh, no, he didn't.
I actually think it was on the toilet, bro.
Bro.
I think I was taking a dump.
You just scrolling through
And I was going through
Instagram,
Instagram, and then everybody was like, Kobe Bryant died. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Dude, that was crazy, though, like, how, and then, like, everything that happens after, like, everybody's, like, speculating how it happened and why it happened, and, like, the whole helicopter crash, and, like, just all, like, so many, like, one event, like, literally, like, kind of, always, like, I guess there's a trend of 2020. It always, like, goes into, like, conspiracies of, like, what happened and why it happened and stuff like that, which I kind of find that interesting, like, speculation.
Who else passed away? I think some rappers here and there.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Honestly, for me, 2020, like, beginning of 2020, like, anything up to, like, March feels like it didn't happen.
Kind of blurry,
It was like a fever dream for me. Like,
right.
It either feels like it was, like, 10 years ago or, like, just so far away that, like, I can barely remember stuff that happened.
Right.
I don't know. March was really when it kind of started hitting. Like, when
and in March, that's when all the crazy Corona stuff happened.
Right.
So
and I remember where I was when that happened, and I saw a trend. It was like on TikTok. It was like, pull up on your phone, like, March. I forgot what date it was. I think it was March 13th or something like that. But it was like, pull up on your phone, like, pictures or your Snap memories from that day. And I did that, and I remember I was in Athens that weekend, and I remember it was like a small little kind of conference thing or whatever, and we're going back to my hotel, and it was crazy because, like, nobody was really, like, serious about it, right? Everybody heard about it and kind of knew about it. There's all these, like, rumors going around that people are going to evacuate, like, schools are going to, like, get shut down and stuff like that, but nobody really believed it. And we get back to the hotel, and then this is in Athens, so UGA is in Athens, and so they're like, all right, all UGA students gotta, like, get out. And luckily, I think this was spring break for them, so, like, they were already moving out, but then, like, I just remember, like, looking outside, and a bunch of people are, like, moving out of dorms. And then, like, later that night, and this was also, like, a rumor that, like, didn't really happen, but it was just crazy, like, the whole experience, like, of what was going through my mind. But we go back to the hotel, and there's an ambulance at the hotel that we're staying at. And so basically some rumors started going around that somebody in our hotel had died from Corona, and that we were all
already.
it's like already,
Chill.
and that we were all gonna have to quarantine there for 2 weeks. And I just remember I was like, dude, this isn't happening. Like, this isn't real. Like, Corona isn't, like, a thing. And so I don't know. I just find it so funny, like, how, like, just different, like, how not used to it we were back then and how used to it we are now.
I think I also found out about Corona, like, through memes again.
Yeah.
All those memes. I think it was like the Corona, like the beer company. They were getting mad that they were like, that they were getting the names. Yeah. And then from then, like, a couple weeks later, like, you got more serious, and then you got the president talking about it. You know, everybody in the news talking about it. And then
I think
it like
really
leads
hit like
into
when
this.
For me it was like churches started closing down for us.
Yeah, with
'Cause-
lockdowns
mhm.
happening, stores closing. Like I remember, like
Right.
streets are empty, like
No
craziness.
toilet
happening.
paper in the stores.
No toilet paper.
No water.
That's
no
honestly, I
nothing.
think it's like that. It, like almost feels like that was 10 years ago, but that really was a
Like,
thing. I remember
literally
going to
just not-
Costco and
not
not
too
having,
long ago.
for real, like a
Yeah.
couple months back. Even some stores haven't recovered just yet.
Really?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know, like,
pretty crazy.
I guess there was like the whole other talk of like another wave of corona or whatever happening. So I think that's kind of what started people to like go back and like buy.
But I
out
think we're a little bit
stores.
more comfortable now, as in
Oh, for
we
sure.
didn't really know what to expect as
Yeah.
as far as lockdown goes, a
Yeah.
nationwide or a worldwide lockdown.
And even then, like people got way more comfortable, and then we all started like going out and like you wear masks when you have to. It's like
Right.
whatever. It's
Right,
it's
right.
not that big of a deal anymore. But I mean, do you think we're always gonna have to wear masks? Like, how far in the future are we gonna have to be wearing these masks?
I mean, honestly, like even if we have to wear them forever, it's not such a bad thing. Like you don't get to see people's faces and whatnot, but the people that I actually care about to see
Yeah.
their faces, like I can see your face.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
fine.
I mean, it's kind of cold, cold weather. Mask keeps you a little
Yeah,
bit warmer, It's,
maybe,
not,
low-key.
it's kind of
Yeah.
a positive thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird for me. Like I remember this past what was it last time I was working 2 days ago or something like that. But so our store policy, I work at Best Buy. Our store policy is that you have to have a mask on, but we and we provide people with masks, but we're not allowed to force somebody to put it on. Like we ask you to. If you say no, we say no. And the policy is that for me, I don't have to go up to or help a customer if they don't have a mask on. Like I'm not obligated to go up to somebody if they don't have a mask. And I mean, obviously for me, I'm just like in the zone. I'm like going at it, like work, like helping people, and it's like super busy, holiday season. And I finish helping this one customer, and like I go back to like my desk, or not my desk, but like the counter, where we like checking people out, and I have like a drink there, and I go grab the drink, and like all my coworkers are looking at me. They're like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I was like, what are y'all talking about?" He's like, "Dude, he didn't have a mask on." And I mean, not to be offensive or anything, but I do work with a bunch of liberals. And no offense to them, no offense to anybody. Your political views they're welcome here. We'll discuss them. But yeah, so like it was just weird. Like, dude, I just helped somebody and I didn't even think twice about it. But like some people are like, they're really like, if you're not wearing a mask, they're actually offended by it.
Do you think they're actually scared of the virus, or do you think it's just an easy scapegoat to like not just help a customer out if they don't have if they
It
don't
could
have
be
a mask
both.
on?
But it was weird. Like, for me, so this one lady, I would say, that I work with, like, she was the main one who was like talking to me about it, and she was like, what are you doing? You could get sick and like stuff. And I'm like joking. I'm like all jokes. And like I'm not taking this seriously. Like I really didn't think she was actually serious about it. And I was like, oh no, I'm immune. I have a Slavic genes. Like I'm fine. And she was like, dude, like what are you talking about? Like you literally could have risked your life there. And I was like, is it really that serious? Like at this point? So I guess it depends on like for each person. And I mean, there's both sides of it. Like, are you really gonna be that stubborn not to just put on a mask? But then it's like some people are like, I guess, overly cautious sometimes. But I mean, yeah, it's each person has their own different
Little
point of view and
opinions
stuff.
or-
So
yeah,
I just found that interesting, like the whole situation, how somebody else would have handled the situation differently than me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even think twice about it, but for some people, it's like a matter of life and death.
Funny
So
that
it's
you
just
mentioned
interesting.
that. There's a video I sent on TikTok. I sent it out to our group chat today. Lady talks about we don't have the right vibrations to be able to host coronavirus. I
Exactly.
said, what? I mean, even
Yeah.
for somebody like that, come on.
Like that right there was, oh my gosh, that.
Say you don't wanna wear the mask.
At that point, right? Yeah, just say that you don't want to wear a mask. You don't gotta make up these
the
excuses.
vibrations,
She
bro.
was like talking about, and the second lady that was there, she's like, "Yeah, I taught her that."
She said I taught her that, like, bro.
Dude, you're making yourself sound a lot more stupid.
She was so happy to say that one phrase. She didn't say anything else. She said,
really
I taught her
thinks
that.
She's really thinking she's gonna
She
disprove
thought she did
somebody,
something.
right? Oh my gosh, and
That's funny,
it's
bro.
sad because that gives a lot more people like a bad rep, like, and they're like wearing Trump flags and stuff like that.
Right,
So it's
it was
like
a Trump rally.
everybody's gonna be looking at that and be like, oh, so this is what
This is what
peop-
Trumpies are.
This is what people are like, and we're not like that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Everything does vibrate, right?
Yeah.
Like in the world, I guess
I think
atoms,
molecules,
atoms,
yeah,
and stuff
they've
vibrate.
already-
But
yeah, that was just
Corona-
an interesting
trying to link that to
explanation. I know.
Corona,
Where
it's
you
not
came
working.
from that to that. That's some interesting medicine or interesting science.
right.
You mentioned like work. Did you
Mhm.
have any experience with getting laid off or like a furlough type of situation?
I mean, it wasn't really, I guess, well, yes and no. So basically, I remember it was also really early down the road, and I was looking back at Snap memories again of this happening. And so basically what happened was I was at work, and
This was at Best Buy?
no, this was at, okay, yeah. Let me clarify. I used to work at this other company. It's called Nishimbo. It's a Japanese company, and we like ship out a lot of stuff to Wuhan, China, right? And that's like the epicenter of, I guess, where the whole coronavirus happened. But I remember one of my coworkers, his wife was a nurse, and she was doing one of the first people to like test people in Newton County of corona. And he like walks up to somebody and he's like, or to HR, and I sit not too far from HR at that time. And he was like, I have to tell you something, but stay 6 feet away from me. And I was like, hold up, what? Like, hold up, what is going on? But basically, his wife caught corona, and she was one of the first cases, I think, in Georgia of somebody having coronavirus. And then, like, eventually they tested him, and he turned out to be positive for coronavirus. And then, like, basically what ended up happening was they were like, all right, everybody's going home for 2 weeks, and then we're seeing who's, like, going to get tested. And then they were saying everybody – so I worked part-time there. And so they said basically everybody who's not full-time can't come back to work. So for me, at that point in time, that was the best thing ever. That was vacation for me. I was getting paid unemployment, it was like getting into summer, so like I was just chilling.
Your employment, was it more or less the same pay? Was it more?
So I think the first 2 months it was more. Because during school, I wouldn't be able to work as many hours, but during the summer it was just about the same. Like if I would work.
And it was a flat, like I didn't experience anything.
It was like
with furlough,
I think for everybody around Georgia it was like $600 a week.
That's
and then yeah, I mean, not bad.
For doing nothing.
For doing nothing at home, that's like pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so basically during the summer I was chilling, man.
Having
like
some fun.
You had money. I was traveling. I was doing not that much traveling, but we went to Florida a couple times, went to South Carolina, North Carolina. Where else did we go? Mainly in Georgia. I don't know if we traveled. Oh, we went to Missouri.
Oh yeah.
So we like traveled a little bit, not too much, I guess. We didn't go on any planes. Just knocking out this water. But so like with work at first, it was good. Like honestly, I was like, thank God, this is a blessing. And then it got like 2-3 months ago. They're like, yeah, first of all, they stopped paying me unemployment like a while ago. And I had money saved up, so I was like, oh, it's fine. I don't really need another job, because I thought this would be over by now, but it's not. And so after that, it's kind of going into like basically I'm contacting them, trying to see like, do I even have my job yet? Like, am I still employed technically at your company? And they're like giving me these like shady answers, like, yeah, you are, but we can't give you a date to come back, and we're not doing remote for you. Like, you can't work from home. And so basically, eventually they were like, yeah, as of right now, like, you're not employed with us anymore. And basically it's a leave of absence. So I could come back to the company once they decide that, conditions are back to normal, I guess, for them. But yeah, that's basically when I was like, all right, I need to find another job now, because school's starting back up, and
boy, need some money.
you need the cash,
Need that bread. Even though it's Best Buy.
Dude, Best Buy is
How you liking Best Buy so far?
It's all right. I mean, I hate the hours that they're giving me. So it's a seasonal job, and like they'll give me like one day to work for like I remember on Black Friday I came in at 5 a.m. and like didn't leave until like 4. So like it's a huge work day, and I don't like that I'm on my feet all the time, and like my back at the end of the day is like killing me. Wait, but all my rings, my Apple Watch activity rings, all of them close at the end of the day.
You're closing all your rings out.
I'm walking around doing stuff. So there's benefits. There's pay is the biggest thing that's motivated me right now. I wish I got paid on commission. I would make a lot more.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Trust me.
What do you sell? You sell dinky MacBook gives you no commission, bro.
I could bring up my reports. In 2 weeks of working, right, I've accounted for $7,000 worth of sales, right? So even if I got in 2 weeks, if I got like, how much is commission? Not bad.
Depends on the item. No, that's the thing, is it's not a flat fake. It's not.
So it depends on the item.
It depends on the profit of each item. So some items have no profit in them, and if you start selling those,
all right, never mind. Then I'm chilling with
like
getting paid hourly.
if you're selling something that's like a
expensive?
hot product Like
the
you can sell a MacBook, but it only has like $200 in profit.
in profit. Yeah,
You're
I think
not
the most
making no
expensive thing
commission
I've
off
sold
that.
was like was a Apple laptop, or not a laptop, but it was like an Apple desktop. It was probably like $3,000. So like maybe So I would only get commission on the profit, right?
Yeah,
So you won't even
pretty
get
much.
commission.
The store, yeah, they allocate some sort of
Mhm.
percentage
Got you.
off of the profit, so you basically get nothing. I mean, I've worked commission and that stuff.
It sucks.
Unless you're, I think the most that you'll make
Mm.
is off of like the protection plans.
Got you.
So if
Yeah,
you
and
all-
that's how we usually make
Like the
our
whole
money,
Geek Squad
even-
or
yeah,
whatever
Geek Squad
your
protection plans.
store located protection plans are.
Yeah, but I mean it's not been bad. It's not been that bad as I thought it would be. I
Yeah.
guess I thought it'd be a little bit worse, but it's fine.
Gotcha.
I'm chilling. We'll see. Hopefully they give me better hours. If not,
Yeah. How's that working with school and stuff? Since you're
right.
working or school
Honestly,
from home.
senior year. So I'm a senior this year.
Yeah.
And that, like, honestly, all my expectations for senior year have out the window. You know, I have the option to come back to school, but like at this point, I have zero motivation to like go to school even, because when I'm at school, basically we're all 6 feet apart. Whatever. There's like probably like 6 other people in my classroom. Like all the people. Like half these people I can't even talk to because, you know, they're like so far across the classroom, and we all just open up our laptops and we're still staring in a screen.
Right.
So the teacher still has to teach, like, to the Zoom or whatever, the Zoom meeting that we're doing, the virtual
So they're
students.
trying to juggle their
Yeah.
attention.
And it's not
between
even
those
that
things.
they don't even juggle the attention, because they're basically just sitting at their desk and only teaching the Zoom. So I am on the Zoom call just at
in the
school.
classroom.
Yes.
That's so
That is
stupid,
exact.
bro.
And I'll just like turn off the volume of my laptop because I could hear the teacher. And so it's like there's like no point in me coming to school. So like the past 2 weeks I've been picking and choosing like when I come to school, and some days I just like turn on my Zoom and just like do stuff around the house, because honestly it's not, maybe it's just like senior year I don't have as much to do at
Right.
school because I only have a couple classes, but overall it's kind of
Ooh,
he's signaling for me to put my mic up a
We
little
gotta-
closer.
we got a guy doing his work.
Yeah. But yeah, overall it's been like so, like, I wouldn't say boring, but it is boring. Like,
Is the school doing anything to kind of ensure like a senior experience for you guys? Are they
I
trying
mean,
to plan anything, or is it just gonna be?
I think they've tried a lot, like a lot of things that
What
have
can you
all
do?
gotten canceled, right? And like, I mean, what do you usually do senior years? They have like, you go to
Pep
senior
rallies,
picnic,
picnics,
pep
yeah.
rallies. You'll go like on a senior trip or something like that. I know we tried to do like a senior picnic, and that got canceled. Pep rallies aren't even a thing. I mean, football games. They have like senior nights at football games and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But I've been to like I think 2 football games this year, and honestly, it's like a lot of people come, and everybody's obviously wearing masks. But so I guess the football game's not too much of a difference. But other than that, like, not much is happening that actually like makes or has like kind of gives off the senior experience anymore, which is fine. I mean, either way, I'm just ready to graduate at this point. You know, like if it's gonna be like this, just like get me
Get
through my
over it.
classes. Yeah.
Give 'em my
At least we're having
diploma.
a graduation. Like
Oh, yeah?
last year, even for the 2020 graduates, they did a graduation on a football field and stuff like that, and obviously social distance, masks and whatnot. But at least they had a graduation, which is, you know,
That's interesting. Some schools actually just did it on like
online.
live, and
Yeah.
they just put your name up
Yeah,
on a
put your name
TV
on the screen for 5 seconds. Yeah, like 12 years of school for what?
for all
Get
this.
your little name right there. I mean, that's how it is, I guess. You know,
I have a question to tell you. Ask you with a little bit of a story.
let's hear it.
I bought my little sisters. They both have phones.
Mhm.
I think I got them when they were in the 6th grade, and they were kind of shy of asking people for numbers and whatnot. And so I
Yeah.
kept telling them, I was like, you know, go get their number, go ask for people's numbers,
Yeah.
try to like network and see, you know, it'll help
Mhm.
you in like schoolwork
friends,
and things
you
like
know?
exactly, yeah, just make friends in general.
Got you.
But they were like, I don't know, you know, whatever. And then not too long ago, I think 2 days ago,
Mhm.
my little sister mentioned to me, she was like, oh, you remember when you told me to get some people's numbers?
Yeah.
She was like, I should have got people's numbers because now I only have like 2 people that I can contact
In the
for any like
class.
schoolwork or just in general just to have
Ooh.
friends and stuff.
Mhm.
And I thought about it, I was like, that's pretty crazy because when you went to school, like
That was
even though,
part of the experience.
right, even though you didn't really hang out with most of those people,
Mhm.
you still did talk to them. And
I mean,
like,
you're spending 8 hours a day with
right.
them. You're
So
gonna
at
become
some point
friends
you're
with them. Yeah, you
at
have
some
your
point you're
clique,
friends
you
with
know?
them. You're not maybe like the
I
closest
mean,
friends.
yeah, I have like
How do-
I would say I would have pretty close friends that I've met in high school.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does that have any effect on your experience in total?
I think
Like, because you're older now.
Yeah,
and, you
I
know,
think
you know.
specifically the fact that this is a senior year. So also I go to a like a charter school. that's like kind of separate from like the high school that I graduate with. It's like a career academy, it's like a magnet school or whatever.
Gotcha.
So my class size is like really small. I think my bad. Oh my gosh, I don't know what that was. Sorry. But my class size is like 60 kids. Or starting freshman year is 60 kids. I think like 10 of us have dropped out at this point. So it's a class size of 50 kids. So the fact that I know all 50 people is kind of interesting. And then like you have your group of friends, obviously. So like throughout the 4 years, you kind of get close to those people. And that's kind of what I was saying, that there's no motivation to go to school, because like out of those friends, the people that I'm friends with, like 2 of them like actually show up to school. Like, and so you're going to school and you're still kind of like just on your own. Even at lunch, like we don't eat in the lunchroom, and like that, I remember that was like the best part of like the day, like when you would actually get to meet your friends, like or whatever, who have like different classes with you, or like we have like our lunch, so might even like go off campus somewhere, or like have like stuff like that. And so like right now it's like, dude, it's just me out there.
Have you noticed any falling out with a lot of friends, or are you mostly keeping up? Yeah,
for sure. Like, I mean, we have like our group chat, or whatever, and we hang out sometimes, like occasionally. But I know like specifically the people that like I wasn't really close with, like I just stopped talking to a lot of those people, because, I mean, you don't see them every day, and it's like it's just hard. And I guess it's a bad thing. You should reach out to those people. Like, you know, on my part, like, I shouldn't just, like, stop talking to them. I should go reach out to them and say, hey, how are you doing? Like, you know, check up with people, because, you know, that's being a human being, you know. You want to be nice.
Try to be nice, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to just be a terrible person or a terrible friend. But, like, other than that, like, the people that I was actually really close with, for the most part, I guess, yeah, I've kind of remained neutral, I guess. But you definitely do feel like you're, you know, growing distant or whatever, and like the more, obviously the people that you hang out with more are gonna grow closer to you. But yeah, it has been like a huge change. It's interesting that you noted that too. Yeah,
it was kind of, I just thought about it, and I was like, oh wow, like that probably would have affected me, just knowing my experience with high school and whatnot. You know, you really do get close with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you only get close with them because you're sort of in their classes.
Yeah, it's like you're forced to almost. Because you're
after you kind of leave that year, you mostly fall off with them. But it's just interesting as far as like a school year goes. In terms of extra habits or things that you've picked up to pick up for the more time that we have nowadays, have you learned anything? Have you, I
found that interesting too. Like, I find myself with a lot more time, right? And so what am I doing with all that time, I guess, is the real question. And a lot of times I'm not doing anything with that time.
TikTok or
right, yeah,
YouTube,
I'm just wasting so much time.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially recently, like, I was having a conversation with somebody about, like, what I'm doing with my time and, like, how I just find myself... Dogs going crazy. How just, like, sometimes I'll just, like, wake up at, like... So I'll wake up at 8 a.m., but I'll stay in bed till, like, 12. Like, just sitting there, like, doing nothing. Like, I'll pull up my laptop and like, I'll try to do school or something. But I think it's important, especially for this year, to try and find new things. And so I guess the one thing that I've been doing recently was trying to get my drone pilot's license, right? And so something like I was talking about you with was trying to get, like, trying to do drone photography or, like, filming cars or something cool like that. So you just got to find things to fill your time with.
Hopefully good things.
I think the best thing, or, like, the thing I'm most grateful for right now is that our churches were only closed for a little bit, because a lot of stuff that I'll do is I'll, like, go out and do stuff with, like, people or friends. If it's not at church, like, sometimes I'll go to an American church on Thursdays. Usually I would go. But I'm here today on this Thursday. But yeah, I'll go to, like, an American church on Thursdays, or, like, on Saturdays, we have choir or whatnot. On Tuesdays I'll have, like, orchestra practice, and then, like, Sundays we'll always go and hang out with the youth and stuff like that. So it's just really fun, like, that we actually still had that opportunity.
Yeah, I think most of us young people, well,
it didn't affect us as much, I think.
I guess it didn't affect us, but we didn't really care even.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially us, like, the fact that we just didn't care, and
some young people, they did care a lot. With wearing the whole masks and things and things like that. But I respect everybody's opinion and everybody's thing. So if I'm around people that want to wear masks or whatever, then I will. I'm not going to be rude about it or whatever.
Right.
But within our little friend group that we have at church and whatnot, we really didn't care too much. After a while, we were like, "Oh, come on, let's just get." I know
there was like 2 weeks. I think there was 2 weeks.
Yeah, there was like 2 or 3 weeks.
Where my parents were super onto me about like, "Oh no, you're not going anywhere. You're staying indoors. I don't care." Like,
and then we're like, "Forget it.
Don't even ask me." Yeah, and then like after that, it's just like, do you think our church kind of changed Corona, change our church? I know we experienced church leadership change. I know
we did some
this
leadership
year.
change, but that was already planned, I guess.
Yeah, that was already
That wasn't
planned.
because of coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, some of it did. I think some people maybe like slacked off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you really look deep into it, you can probably find some people that just got lazy
Mm-hmm.
because for like a period of like 2 months almost, we didn't really need to
I
put
find
in effort.
a comment that I have on that, I guess, is I remember I would go to Wednesday services especially during like the whole lockdown thing, since I had nothing to do. And I remember the first Wednesday service that we had after lockdown, like after our church finally opened it back up. That was probably like the best service I've like been to, like on a Wednesday or Friday. And like so many people were there, it's like huge revival, as expected, like everybody's praying and stuff like that. And like it was just interesting to see like in the church like how that started. And like obviously right now it's not, or from my experience, from my point of view, it's not as much as what it was right after lockdown. So it was just
Maybe it has to do something with scarcity.
yeah, I think it's just interesting to see like
Having that scarcity.
people weren't able to do that for so long, or it wasn't even that long, like a month or something like
2
that.
months, something
A
like
month
that.
or 2
Yeah.
months. It wasn't that long, but
Just even having that.
they weren't. Let's wait till this
This podcast is so fire. They called the ambulance or the fire
Exactly.
department.
As I was saying, yeah, it's interesting because like when people aren't able to do that for so long, and then you go back into it, and you're like, everybody's there with or they're there knowing that we haven't done this in a while, so like we're gonna it's gonna be fire.
They're happy, they're
Yeah.
energized to do it.
Mhm.
An interesting contradiction to the whole coronavirus and the
Mhm.
lockdown. We've been talking a lot about that. A lot about staying home and things
Yeah.
like that. We had a lot of protests that happened this year.
Yeah.
George Floyd. We had one in Georgia about Rayshard Brooks,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that was murdered at Wendy's.
Right.
Then there's Breonna Taylor, obviously. So a lot of these protests, I remember when that happened. What was that, like June-ish? Maybe?
Yeah. I think like
Somewhere in the middle of
the
the year.
the biggest ones happened like somewhere
Yeah,
around.
and that was big. Like I haven't experienced
Yeah.
such a big, like unified thing. But it was interesting that everybody was in lockdown, everybody was scared, everybody wore
Mhm.
masks, and then all of a sudden we're like in these big crowds. And
Right.
I went to one of these. I mean, you wear masks and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still huge crowds. Everybody's like pretty much close
Right.
close together.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting
Corona
to
just
see like
disappears.
yeah, like his where to go for
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Yeah.
But the big question that I have is, do you think that the protests brought more unity or more disunity and it just in America in general?
As a whole, I think they brought more disunity.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at a minor scale, like if you look at maybe certain communities or something,
Mhm.
if you're looking at,
You think
Yeah.
it brought more unity?
they brought
Mhm.
more unity within those communities. But in terms of a whole as a country,
Mm-hmm.
I think not because of the protest. I think it was everything that was not
Everything
considered
that
a
kinda-
protest. A protest is fine on its own. It does maybe create a little bit of hatred, but that's the people that want to be hated or
Right.
want to hate.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing was everything that was not considered a protest, like maybe somebody killing somebody, like that one white dude that
Right.
was walking around
Mhm.
killing everybody, or like the looting and stuff like that.
Right.
I think that was what caused a lot of disunity
Mm-hmm.
between people because somebody was looking on one side like
right.
this is exactly what I'm trying to not happen in America, and if that's what
Exactly.
y'all stand for, then obviously
know.
that divides them. And then
Mhm.
on the other side, they're looking at those people, and it's just a back and forth thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you're looking at Atlanta, the whole looting and like the curfew that was set in,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can't even drive through Atlanta after 9 p.m. And
we were picking up a couple of dirt bikes that day.
yeah, I remember
and
that.
we were driving through. I was on I-20. Kind of towards Atlanta, and I remember seeing this whole string of cops.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
like everybody was moving. It was such a big movement. Within that, and that seeing on the news and stuff, everybody like all the older people at our church and everything, they were like freaking out about it. Like,
Right.
don't go to Atlanta. Like, stay
Yeah,
away.
exactly.
Obviously, not to get too political here. Maybe that's for another day.
Alright, this is
Um,
episode 1, guys.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
episode
yeah.
1.
God, keep it chill. Like, we don't lose too many viewers out here. all the
Exactly.
10 of y'all that are gonna see this.
Exactly. We'll push out the link. Or something.
But in terms of if we're talking about politics, it's funny for me to notice, and I don't know if you noticed this.
Mhm.
I mentioned it to a few people earlier. The what I would like to call like a two-facedness of our two-party political system. With regards to this election. We know now that it's, we're always talking about unity, disunity. I think right now it's probably the most ununified it was. You're either, here or you're there, and if you're in the middle, like, get your mind together.
Yeah,
like
pick side.
Come on, like, you're holding back America basically at this point. Or that at least that's the idea as much as I've understood it to be. So just looking back at the 2016 election when Trump got elected, when everything was supposed to be all Hillary, like I remember all the news networkers were like, it's going to be Hillary 100%, like no doubt. And then for Trump to get it, get that W, it was interesting to see all those people that were whining and crying about, we're going to go to Canada,
Right.
That kind of just mentality in general. No one really went. Maybe a couple people did. And the majority of people,
visited,
yeah, exactly. Majority of people, they pretty much just had their wine and crying, and they just
which is
left.
how it is.
And for the last 4 years, a lot of things happened, impeachments and protests never stopped. And it was always interesting to see that the Republicans were always saying, not Republicans in general, but like conservative people for Trump were all like, oh, y'all just can't accept the loss.
Exactly.
But
And now when we're looking at it
from this perspective, where
using our words against us.
where the people that are now complaining are the Republicans, saying that it's fraud, it's this and that, and I don't want to discredit any side. Those people had their right because they thought that Trump was going to be the worst thing that was going to happen to America, and if you truly believe that, you kind of have sort of a right to
you have a right to your opinion. Obviously,
yeah, exactly. So I don't want to discredit them, and I don't want to discredit any people that are saying anything about the falsity or the corruptness of our polling systems, which I'm not going to say exists, but I'm not going to deny that it doesn't because I have no, I don't know the facts of it.
All conspiracy at this point.
Exactly. So I block it as conspiracy at this point. So it's just funny to see how now the Democrats are like, oh, you guys you can't take a
exactly.
And it's just, and actually some people did point it out, some celebrities and whatnot, they pointed it out. They were like, oh, that's like pretty much two-faced. And it was kind of funny to see, how we rely on such this system, this two-party system, when in general it just makes us kind of two-faced and not authentic to even ourselves.
And like even when you're looking at, I guess, so if let's, I guess we could. Can we say that like Biden won?
Yeah, I admit it. I think Biden won. I mean,
that's what I like.
He's not making a comeback.
There's no way right now that Trump's gonna be in office
I
come
can't
January. And like I don't know, I was listening to a podcast about it even, and it's like just the amount, and it's from a Trump supporter, and just the amount of like the evidence that he brings up. It's like, yeah, like at this point, if you're anywhere in your right mind, like you just gotta accept the facts. And basically like so, I remember the whole deal was like, like people were like, I remember in California, it was like people are shops are boarding up their windows because they're expecting a riot if Trump wins, right?
Right.
And it was kind of like, that's kind of what I saw as like two-faced, like, or not, I guess it's not two-faced, but like, just because, like, you wouldn't see, the conservative side was like arguing that, if Biden wins, you're not going to see us have riots, but if Trump wins, we're like expecting riots. And it's just the whole, like, the fact that like we've like split up those two parties, or like just people in general, so far as to like we're bringing in violence into the equation of like who's gonna be violent, who's not gonna be violent. Yeah. It's just like absurd. Like,
it shouldn't even be a conversation in general.
Not be a conversation.
Right. But yet we are having it. Yeah.
But yet we're here, and
we expected. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. To see. I mean, obviously companies are gonna do the most to preserve their dollar. And not try to get looted and, all these expensive companies. I mean, somebody's going to take that advantage. It doesn't matter who it was. I believe that even Trump supporters, if there was some looting, they would come out there. Like the people that want to loot,
exactly.
It doesn't matter what party you're in. You're going to start looting,
Exactly, yeah.
So it was basically a precaution for the people that just wanted to, incite chaos into the environment. I think people would have definitely protested if Trump would have declared the W again.
Yeah.
And I think they did protest. I didn't really.
I mean,
maybe it was just honestly,
it wasn't as widespread as before. I guess
maybe it wasn't covered enough.
Yeah,
I think maybe the media just didn't cover it at all.
That is the thing. Like, certain things just get pushed by the media more, and those are the things.
And that's not a conspiracy. That's
yeah.
that's
That is
facts.
true.
We can obviously there's unequivocally we can all agree that the media pushes their agendas.
And that's what's that kind of influences the way, or the public's outcry, or like what we see, and what we see from the media was usually what we react to, and so the reactions that you get from people are obviously coming from something, and obviously if you trace it back, you're tracing it back to like those the coverage of those events, and all the maybe the lies that they're saying, or like just in general the whole thing just kind of gets like it's like a snowball. Right. So I'll start with something and end up being something so much more than what it actually is. Yeah. And I'm not saying that the things weren't, big events, obviously. Like, a lot of those were, like, huge things that happened, and that, obviously, justice needs to be where justice is.
So that's pretty much all the major events. I had one last question that I wanted to ask you. But, no. But, right, as I've been thinking about it, I kind of want to rephrase the question.
All right, let's see.
If I can be bold, if you'll allow me to be bold, the question was supposed to be, does normal come back?
All right.
But at this point,
is the end here?
No, but the end is here. I don't even care about that anymore at this point. No, but I think my question right now is, I know that normal isn't coming back. We can all agree that that normal from January 1st, that whole where we were back then, it's not going to happen again. It's not
anywhere soon, at least.
Right. For the foreseeable future. So for the next, maybe 3 to 5 years, based on a new normal that we have created, what do you think? What do you think that kind of is gonna affect you? How that's gonna affect you, or what do you think about that in general?
Right, because and for both of us, we're both young, right? We still have our entire lives ahead of us. And honestly, I find it interesting, the fact that all these events are happening at this point in my life, right? So, if I was younger, for example, I'll take, my little sister's age, 12, she's definitely not, she's old enough to, understand what's happening.
But not super in tune.
She's not in tune with what's going on, and it's not really affecting her life. She's still, goes to school, comes home, plays her games, just life is almost as normal as it was.
Right.
And then, for people who are, in the older age, they have their life set up already, they already, have their family, have their job, basically, have their savings, have their house, things are set up for them. They're not really, they're
overly concerned.
Yeah, they're not overly concerned with what's going to be happening in the future with them. They're more concerned of, with their kids and, stuff like that. And so for me, it's I'm looking in the future in the next, 3-4 years, or in the next year, obviously, college. So how's college going to look like? Is my career, am I even, should I even be worrying about my career? Or, where I'm going to go? Or should I just be focusing on, just stuff that would, or should I even look into the long term? Or should I just focus in the short term right now? And, yeah, I just find it interesting, exactly, where I am. And, just looking forward, I guess the new normal is going to be, just, that uncertainty, honestly. Just not really knowing what's going to be.
That's kind of a crazy pressure to put on a person that's just trying to figure out their life, and the most important parts of their life, especially. Yeah, the whole your whole relationship scene, and marriage, and how's that going to work with the uncertainty of your own even careers, or your own moves that you're trying to do.
And in my opinion, listen, the rapture's coming at this point.
At some point. But
and I mean, even if I'm not saying that 100% seriously, a little bit, I'm joking a little bit about that.
Sure.
Even though I do think it's coming.
It's coming, right? But how soon, whatever.
But yeah, we don't know how soon. I guess right now, what I've come, the decision that I've come to is you just gotta live in the moment, I guess. If you don't know if you're ever gonna be able to get married later, just. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna try to rush into it or whatever, or rush into a relationship. But
not in a sense of YOLO. It's not
yeah, it's not
you only live once, just do whatever the heck you want.
But you kind of start thinking more about it, honestly. You put a little bit more attention to it. Hey, if this is what my life is gonna be I might as well. I wanna be able to experience as much as I can now. I don't wanna I guess that's a fear of mine, I guess, or maybe a lot of people when it comes to uncertainty of what's gonna happen. Is am I ever gonna be able to experience the stuff that's gonna come with, or what I thought was normal, or having a normal job, or a normal relationship, or it's just gonna be obviously it's gonna be different. So
just take the step. And
just take it. Like there's no point in like
holding back
at this point.
Yeah, because you don't have time to hold back.
Exactly,
I mean, the uncertainty of not having that time of holding back is just the reason why we should just step and move forward.
It's gonna be just an interesting, especially in the new year, 2021. Just looking at it from this perspective. Hopefully, things get more towards normal, I guess. But
it's our hope. But even if it doesn't, I think
even if it doesn't, right now, where I am right now, I'm chilling. Like I think, with school, I hope I'll get accepted into good school. If not, there's other things I can do. And at the end of the day, it's God's will. What he hasn't set in store for me is what's gonna end up happening.
That's a great thought to end on. All right, thank you guys for tuning in to the first ever episode.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Russell, for coming on.
No problem.
Expect to see this one and hopefully more to come.
Right.
As this podcast grows into whatever it becomes. I have no idea where this podcast is gonna go and how frequently I'll be able to
make
these things. But I think it was just an interesting way to document a nice conversation for the past, hour?
Yeah, people's thoughts, people's experiences. It's a good thing to just have on camera,
All right.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you guys.
Peace.
Okay. Cool. Dang, I was getting a little chilly. Dude,
my tongue
couldn't talk straight sometimes.
Oh my God.